If you enjoy truthful and heartfelt conversations to inspire you to become a better version of yourself, empowering stories will help you. Hello, Imani. How are you doing, beautiful woman?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And I'm going to introduce you to our audience, if that's okay, Imani.
Absolutely.
What I Thank you very much. What you can read in her Instagram, if you go there, is that she empowers and amplifies women dealing with autoimmune issues to go from surviving to thriving, no less. Imani, if you want to tell us something about this, and I think you're talking here from your own experience, isn't it?
Yes, I really like to say it came to a point of when my life got basically wrecked from the way it was going to the way it is now. And the reason I say that is I had a near fatal car accident back in 2002. It was a sunny day, April, springtime, no rain, anything. And I was driving a friend around and we was at a stoplight. And you always have that moment when you feel like something's not right. And you look into the rearview mirror and you see this car coming straight at you. Well, that's where I was at. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw this car coming straight at me. The thing is, I had nowhere to go because I had two lanes of traffic on my right and I had a concrete barricade on my left and I had the interstate above me. So there was nowhere to go. And so by human nature, I braced myself for the impact. I didn't even have time to tell my passenger he was about to be in a car accident because it happened that quickly. And so I remember how the car hit me and how my face went straight into the steering wheel and bounced back up. And then I hit the car in front of me and that hit the car in front of it. But unfortunately, my car took all the damage and it folded like an accordion. And I remember those pivotal moments after the impact. I was stunned. I couldn't believe it happened. And I'm like trying to catch the blood coming out of my nose. Don't ask why. That's just traumatized at that point. I'm trying to catch the blood coming out my nose, and someone knocks on my window and they're like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm just sitting here like, no, because as soon as my mother sees this car, I'm a dead woman. I wasn't focused about how I was feeling at the moment. I was afraid of how my mom was going to kill me for totaling this car because she helped me sign for it. And that person who actually came to my window, I found out was the passenger in the car that hit me. And they were under the influence at 2:40 in the afternoon. And he was so high, he went through the windshield of their car, but didn't feel a thing. So he ended up at my window. So, just that right there was just like, what? So when the ambulance came, they had to take me through my window because they couldn't get my car door open. And they did all the tests, they take you to the emergency room, they get all the x-rays, they get all the blood tests, they do all of those things. And I remember them saying, Miss Harris, we really wish you would have broken something. And I was like offended, like, what, why would you want something worse to happen to a patient? How dare you? And they were like, well, no, the thing is, when you break something, we can see it in the x-ray. We can take you into surgery to fix it. We can take another x-ray to see the healing process. They said, however, to this day, we do not understand how the body reacts to damaged cells, which is soft tissue injury. Because I almost broke my nose. I sprained my whole chest wall cavity because I went into the steering wheel. I had severe whiplash. I tore cartilage in my knees, all of that, but none of it was broken. And they didn't know the nuances of how the body over time responded. So they said, you're going to start getting diagnoses popping up over time. And that's what started my journey of autoimmunity was that car accident because it was a trauma to my body. And over time, my body didn't know how to deal with it. So then it was diagnosis upon diagnosis upon diagnosis to now I deal with 8 on a daily basis. And for me, I dealt with such the struggle because one, there's the stigma. Two, there's the shame, the misinformation. You also have some in the medical field that don't even believe it exists. They just think it's something to throw on you and they can't figure out anything else. So then you have that bias to deal with. And so it took years to even get a true diagnosis because I was constantly told I was crazy. There was nothing wrong with me. You couldn't physically see it on my body. There was no reason for me to complain. And then after I got the diagnosis, it was, well, there's no cure for that. So we can't really help you. I was never given a guidance or a community on how to now deal with it moving forward. So basically, I kind of checked out. I basically started just living life day by day on autopilot, just hoping and thinking the next condition I got would be the last one and I would get to go back to glory to God. But that didn't happen until last year. The pandemic was so pivotal for everyone. And for me, it was God had to have a come to Jesus moment with me. And he's like, you're not going through this stuff on your own. You're not going through this for kicks and giggles. He's like, you're going through this to show other people what I can do in, with, and through their life. But the main thing is you have to now lay aside everything else as being bigger than me, because I never fully relinquished my health issues to him. I never fully relinquished my financial issues to him. I never fully relinquished all of my burdens. I still was kind of carrying them. And he says, you have to surrender them all. But then this is the most pivotal part, he said. Until you love yourself and stop rejecting who you are, you're going to continue to basically try to make a liar out of me, because you're saying, oh, God made a mistake in creating me because, I'm a reject, because I'm not this certain type of person, or these people have told me this all my life. And he's like, I don't make mistakes and I don't lie. So when you reject yourself, you're basically rejecting me who created you. And I created you for a reason. He said, until you decide to love yourself and really learn who you are in me, you're never going to give love the right way. And you're also never going to receive love, because you're not open to it and you don't love yourself. That was eye-opening at that moment, because I'm just like, really? And
How do
it's
you
been a
hear
process.
this voice? Imani,
Oh,
how do you hear that voice? And if I'm asking you this, is because there are going to be people out there who are going to think, what was this? Was this a prophet coming home to tell her, or was this a voice in her ear, or was that a feeling, or the neighbor next door said, I have a message for you? How did it happen? Because some people could relate.
sure. Well, for me, I like to tell people, and they laugh about it, that Jesus stays in every corner of any room I'm in. He just side eyes me all day, like, oh, you really going to say that? You really want to do that? You sure about that? And for me, that's what makes my relationship with God relevant to me. And that's what helps to humble me, is I know he's already in the building because he's in each of us. And it was during my quiet time after I was complaining, because I was complaining, like, I can't stand it. Everything's not going right. I'm still in the same place. I'm suffering. I don't know if I'm going to make it another year. And it was just in that quiet time of being really intentional to really get that input from him. And it was a resonating in my spirit to be like, oh, let me think about that. Because a lot of times we're so busy for the sake of being busy, we're not able to hear him clearly in the spirit, because we have too many distractions going on around us. But when we get
Yeah.
still, that's when we can hear him, because now all the distractions are out of the way.
Hmm. That's why meditation is so powerful. Meditation or walking in nature, whatever it is, because what we do is to stop the chatter, to stop the monkey talking. And then we can hear inside, and whatever is inside of us, we can call it higher self, Jesus, God, whatever it is, higher power. But we all have that, and we can all hear it if we tell the monkey to shut up. Yeah.
Exactly. Or as I like to say, you change the channel.
Mm.
Because the inner critic is always on one channel and likes to keep you on that default channel. But when you change the channel from the inner critic, now that's not in your head, distracted you.
I
Because
like that. The inner critic or the victim, because I was hearing you, I was complaining and I didn't like that, and I blah blah blah. That was the victim as well. So Could be both, yeah, both ways.
Exactly.
Right. So we have that channel inside. That's good news. We all have that channel.
Yes.
And what happened then? Let us know how was it that you turned 180 from oh poor me to I'm going to help others? How do you do that 180-degree
Well,
change?
I like to tell people you're never arrived. There, it's not where you get to a final destination of having it all together. You're like, okay, I'm good, Jesus, see you. Wrong answer. You're constantly in the progress of your process, is what I like to say. You're constantly in the progress of the process, which is basically you are trusting with faith, with trust, with full belief that God is continuing to order every single one of your steps. But the main thing is we have to start giving ourselves grace and permission to endure the process because we have such unrealistic expectations we sometimes set up for ourselves that we can't ever reasonably achieve. But we're trying to hold ourselves to this really high standard that we can't meet. So then we're already giving ourselves despair, anxiety, apprehension, frustration, because we're wondering why it's just not happening a certain way. Why am I still going through this? When really you just need to give yourself time because God knows what your bandwidth is. He knows what you can and cannot handle. So we have to be okay that the journey is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We're trying to hustle through the journey. We're trying to just road runner the journey. But that's where we miss all of the experiences and lessons that needs to be learned as we are becoming a better version of ourselves every single day.
Mm. Kindness, I wrote down. Does that resonate with what you're saying? Kindness to
Absolutely.
ourselves? Yeah. And it's something else that you said that I really like and inspires me is the fact of allow yourself. So let yourself be the vessel of a higher power working through us. And that higher power knows exactly where we can get, how much we can do. And we don't need to rush because the rushing is just it's a construct, isn't it?
Absolutely. And also, too, when we're rushing, we're doing it in our own strength. We're basically telling God, hey, I like your idea. That's great. But I have this contingency plan here in the background that I'm going to go try those first and then I'll come talk to you. And he's like, that's not how that works, but he'll wait. He'll look at his watch and let you do what you want to do because he is a gracious God. He is a gentleman. So he's going to let you do what you want to do for a minute, but he's never going to let you go so far that you destruct yourself. He's never going to let you go that far. He's going to start throwing higher reminders. Someone likes to say, he sends warning shots. So he might let you do it for a minute, but then he'll send like a warning. See if you get it that time. You miss it. So then he's going to send you a more important warning. And he's going to keep sending them to you until one just basically about faces you. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah. And now you have to look at the mess you've made of you trying to do it your way. But this is the great thing about God is he never sits there like we as humans do when we make mistakes and we break out the scroll from 1965 and remind each other of everything we've done wrong up until that point. He doesn't do that. He just says simply, are you ready now? That's what he says to me. It's no, I told you so. I tried to tell you that wasn't going to work. He just says, are you ready now? And you're just like, yeah, Jesus, I've got nothing at this point. Let's go ahead and do it your way. And it's more effortless. Now, does it mean the
Yeah.
situations go away? No, it's not going to become a rainbow filled party, but it's going to help you to endure the process easier because now it's in his strength and not in yours. And you're not trying to solve and know every single move either. You're just trusting the progress of the process.
It makes so much sense. So much sense. Mm. I'm thinking of you were talking about stigma, shame, misinformation, you were crazy, all those things. But if we trust, or when we finally trust in a higher power, because we're subcontractors of this higher power, that shame doesn't go to us. That shame is on the person who's telling these bodies something about their own pain. Does it make sense? And then
Yes, it
it's
does.
like everything, it's bypasses us, like as if we were covered by grease. It's like that has nothing to do with me. So those stigma, shame, misinformation, craziness, they couldn't affect you now, I suppose, because it's like that doesn't have anything to do with me. Is that correct,
Yeah,
Imani?
exactly. A lot of it is that inner work, which is the growth potential. That's the accountability part, which for all of us, if we're very honest, we don't want to do the inner work because it's not pretty. It's gonna cause some blood, sweat, and tears. It's gonna cause some crazy moments where you're like, should I even be doing what I'm doing right now? Are we serious? You're gonna have people laugh at you because they don't understand the progress of your process. They don't know the end point, the vision, accumulation and fruition is. They don't understand that because it's not for them. So it can get lonely at times too because people don't understand because they didn't get the same download as you did. So you have to be remindful of yourself of that. This is what God has given me. And it's only up to me to understand it. It's not my job to get everyone else to understand it. That's God's job. If they're meant to be a role in your life. So that's another step, being discerning of who is in your circle, because not everybody that comes in your life is for you. They're strategically put in your life to be a thorn in your side. So you have to know what is their true purpose in your life. Is it to be life giving, or are they meant to be life draining?
Well, if you're asking me, I think that everybody in our lives is there to reflect something that we are oozing out or emanating. So if there's somebody there that's a pain in the butt, that's because I see something in that person that maybe I need to change in myself, or maybe I'm judging, or maybe something that I don't want to see within myself. And if it's draining me, that's what I believe my money anyway. It's because that's something I don't like in myself or I'm judging. And once you keep changing this kind of, I think they're there for feedback. Some people are there for feedback. That's what I believe anyway. Would that make sense?
It does make sense. You are going to come across people that bring to mind things you have not dealt with yet. But then there are
Hmm.
some people that are actually sent to be a distraction to you, to just keep you from really activating what you're activating, to derail you, to stumble you, to make you backpedal. There are people who are strategically used that way to be, what I say, your fake friends. Like they'll tell you what you want to hear, they think, but when they're not around you, they're talking about you like you nothing. Okay. They're in the background trying to destruct you, but in your face, they're telling you that they love you. So it's like you have to be aware of people like that too, because even though you may have grown, they may not have dealt with that situation you have arrived from, in a sense that you have grown from. So now there's going to be a test to see, are you going to be able to say no to that type of person in your environment to keep your peace, or are you going to go ahead and kind of compromise and let that type of person back in, even though their personality type is not going to benefit you? Do we love everybody at the same thing? Absolutely. But not everybody can be in that inner circle. Like, I don't know if you've seen, Meet the Fockers. It's a movie from back in the day. And the father to Adam Sandler was like, you were outside the circle of trust. Every time he made a mistake, every time he failed, he says, I'm watching you. You're now outside the circle of trust. People are in different dimensions and layers with us. Not everybody can be in that inner circle.
Yeah,
You have to
that
be
makes
very
perfect.
key about who's with you. But are you going to have people in the outer rings? Absolutely. But not everybody can be in the inner circle with you.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I see them sometimes as a way of testing our commitment to be ourselves, our commitment to our soul's purpose. Yeah. You're nodding like, yeah, yeah,
Absolutely, because there's
certainly.
boundaries, and that's one of the things that's very hard for us to do because we, especially we as women, we were created to be the helper. We were created with the emotions. So we are very emotionally and heart led. So it's hard for us a lot of times to say, no, can't do that, or that I don't have time. We feel like we have to take on everything so that people don't view us differently. But we're basing it off societal standards that may not even apply to you. So you're just like me. I used to do that all the time. I may not have had the time to do it, but I figured, well, no one else can do it. That's why they're asking me. So let me take it on. But then I would be the one stressed out, frustrated, tired because I'd taken on way too much than I reasonably can because I didn't know how to say no as a sentence. I always had to explain every reason why I couldn't do something for you. And I would guilt myself for the reason that I had to say no and the reason why. So is knowing what your boundaries are. And like you said, you have to stick to them. You have to say, this is a non negotiable, do not pass go, do not collect $200. This is it for me. And you're right, people are going to come and test that boundary. And you have to stay true to it because in the end, I mean, let's be honest, when it first happens, they're going to get on your nerves about it. They're going to backpedal, they're going to push back, they're going to give you attitude. But as you stay towards that boundary and stay true to it, in the end, they're going to respect you because you are showing them that you honor yourself and you honor your time. So now you're showing them how to do it in kind as well.
And we don't need to be nasty to say no. We can say no, thank you very much, and that's it.
Exactly.
I'm thinking this evening I got a phone call, and when I don't know the number, normally I don't answer because it could be people selling things. But today I was expecting a phone call from somebody whose number I didn't know, so I answered. And of course, it was a telephone company. And I just say, "Oh, who are you?" Well, this company. And I said, "Thank you very much. I don't want anything." And I just hung up. So we can be kind and still say no, but it's very interesting what you're saying of setting the boundaries. That shows self-respect. That also helps others see that those boundaries can be set by them, because I don't believe that people would test us just for the sake of annoying us. It's just that nobody ever told them that those boundaries were there to respect and to protect us both ways. Yeah, would you agree?
Yeah, my mom used to will always say, and I have clients who say it too, you don't know what you don't know. But when you do know, do better. Because now you can't
Yes.
excuse that you don't know. Because now you know. Okay, like for instance, my boundary is my phone is on do not disturb all day. And it was like, how can you do that? What if it's an emergency? That's what the favorites list on iPhone is for. So anyone who's on the favorites list, they bypass your do not disturb. Not everyone has the right to be on your favorites list. So everything else goes straight to voicemail. It also
The circle
reduces,
of people
yeah, circle of trust, but it
of
keeps
trust.
my anxiety down because I know being so tied into technology, you see that screen light up. What is your default? Ooh, you're looking at the screen. What is it? Oh, who said something? What email is that? Do not disturb. I don't have my screen lighting up all day. Everything goes in my silent notifications and I can review it periodically when I feel like it. But that's the boundary
Yeah.
I need for myself to keep my anxiety and stress down is all those distractions, all those interruptions of the phone pinging and dinging and all these notifications. Not no.
Yeah, mine is in silence for everything. Not even my circle of trust pings out. Nothing. 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 So I understand that. Tell me something, Imani, about the word, about the women that you help, that you empower, or maybe a case study, or you see some transformation that you would have seen.
I know, and just with talking with a lot of people, especially on Clubhouse, and for those who don't know, Clubhouse is a new social app that's audio only. It's now launched on Android. So now they get to be part of the exclusive club when it was iPhone for so long. But in me having so many conversations with people who deal with autoimmunity, they resonate with the same thing. They felt isolated, they felt alone, they felt confused, they felt frustrated, they were anxious, they were apprehensive, they were fearful, they felt rejected because the medical field has been telling them there's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with you. And they question even their own mental health because at times you're told, well, it's all in your head, you're crazy. But then my answer to that is, but there's mental health services. So why can't you deal with that if truly it is a mental issue? So there's that stigma. The other part is people don't know and understand autoimmunity because you can't see it. So often you will explain that you're dealing with autoimmunity or one of the many 100 different conditions, and people will look at you, and this has been a default response from other people I've talked to. Yeah, when I tell somebody what I have, their default is, but you look fine. You don't look sick. Well, what's the definition of sick? What does that really look like to the average person in society? So then you have that stigma to deal with of, well, you can't really complain because we physically can't see anything wrong with you. So I know for a lot of it, it's you need the community. No one really had the support. No one even thought anyone else had it because they might be the only person in their circle that has an autoimmune issue. So you have that to deal with. Then you have to deal with the education and awareness. There's not enough information out there about all 100 plus different conditions. You only hear about 4 or 5 when it's their awareness month, and that's it. But what about the other 100 or so that other people have that are not highlighted? And then the next point is the resources. Most of the resources that help people with autoimmunity is it's not medical. It's your nutrition, it's your stress levels, it's how you sleep, it's the environment, it's the toxins and chemicals and additives that you're exposed to on a daily basis. And unfortunately, any of those type of services are not covered by insurance. So now you have a financial gap to deal with as well, that person may not have available to them to really truly access these type of resources. And they may not know the language that this information is in because it's in medical speak or it's in insurance speak, not the regular everyday person. So there's those gaps as well.
I was married to a doctor for 20 years, so I understand that side of it. That being said, I'm also very inclined to contemplate other ways of dealing with physical issues, let's put them that way. The way that I understand health is that whatever condition happens in our body, that's our body telling us something. From what I know about autoimmune diseases, is that that's my body eating me up. I mean, so in layman's terms, that's me eating myself. And what I read about that in these alternative books or ways of treating diseases would be that it's a low self-esteem or trying to be translucent for somebody. Like, I don't want to be seen, and then people lose their color. Or it could be something that happened one day, and after that trauma, like it happened to you, after that trauma, something was triggered. And it could be triggered even from memories of past lives, if you believe that that could happen. It could be somebody from your line in your family. Do you know something about this? Have you looked into this alternative way of looking at what our bodies are telling us?
Yeah, autoimmune is definitely caused by any type of trauma. For me, yes, the culprit was the auto accident. But there was other many traumas before that, that basically the auto accident was the body's way of saying, okay, we're done. Time out. This is too much, but you don't notice it, especially when it starts so young. My car accident was at 22. I'm 41 now. So everything before 22, all the things I had experienced had been recessed because that goes back to your environment. I'm from a West Indian family, and the West Indian culture is they don't believe in talking about mental anything or talk about anything going on in the household outside the household. It was always what goes in the house stays in the house. And basically, children were raised to be seen, not heard. So you were
Yeah.
told very early to shut your mouth, to silence your voice. You were not allowed
Yeah.
to show emotions in my family, because then that prompted the next response. Do you want me to give you something to cry for? So now you know, you're conditioned to know that if you start to cry, here comes a punishment. So that also goes back into the environment piece, that you've been carrying on all these things, but you haven't had a chance to really address them, or you didn't know how to address them. And so basically you're stamping it all down in your body, but your body remembers until one critical trauma begets another trauma that is what entices it. You know, case in point, a friend of mine, she got the vaccine for the COVID virus. Well, she already has some other autoimmune issues, but guess what? Her getting the vaccine amplified all the autoimmune all at once. And now she's struggling with things she didn't have to struggle with before because it was a trauma. So now there's even that issue, is that more and more people will be diagnosed with autoimmune all after this pandemic, and especially with the vaccine. So it's just, you have to really know what really is going on. And unfortunately, in the medical field, they are not given the time to really sit down and address your whole medical record, look at the trends, look at things that are highlighted, look at the repetition to be like, wait a minute, this could be this rather than what we think it is right now. And the unfortunate thing with that is medicine was created to be very black and white. It's either you have it or you don't. But in reality, 99% of the population is chemically composite different. So the standard of care is not going to work for everybody, but they apply it to everybody. So there's that as well, that you have to go around the mountain with, to fully find someone who's going to listen, who's going to hear you and see you for what is really going on, who's going to take the time to listen, and is going to take a team approach to really help you. Because it really needs to be all the different specialties, all the different practitioners need to come together and really be a team for an individual who's going through autoimmunity.
Yeah. And deep down, what do you think that the people with autoimmune diseases in general would need the most? Apart from the team of professionals, apart from having a system, apart from having the monies, apart from all that, deep down, as humans, what would you say, Imani?
Community, because we were all made for community. None of us was placed on this earth to go through life by ourselves. Even
Yeah.
God made Eve for Adam. Okay, so from the very beginning, God created us for a community. And that
Yeah.
community of like minded individuals can help support one another to their greater. They may have information that could help someone. But when you're
Yeah.
isolated, you don't know that there are other options. You don't know how other people are managing and sustaining their life, even with this condition. So you feel like you're it. You feel like you're it. So that community is first and foremost. So you don't feel like it's just you. You are the exception to the rule. And the community can help foster and support you, encourage you, provide the resources, provide the information, and they can get you to a place that you can't do on your own. It really was that way for
Yeah.
me. I wasn't open until last year to even receive anybody's help because I did not value myself. So a lot of it too with that community is helping you to deal with that inner work of really understanding, who are you really? What is your value? What is your worth? Just because you're dealing with something, whether it's autoimmune or not, whatever chronic issue that's going on in your life, that doesn't define you. It's a label that's been applied to you. But you can just as easily reject and renounce that label and still truly stand in who you truly authentically are, and not have to feel no shame for it, no reservation for it, no stigma for it, because people have to realize that every one of our breakdowns is a breakthrough that is going to help someone else get through their breakdown to their breakthrough. And so when we remind ourselves of that, that it's not about us, it's about the people who are already tied to us, it gives us a different perspective to not be self-loathing like I was for a long time, just saying, oh, poor me. No one understands. It's never going to get better. Well, guess what? I kept saying that, and that's what kept being brought in because that was my expectation. So there's definitely a difference between reality and complaining. And there's a fine line with that. But it's knowing that even despite what you're going through, you were still created for better. This is not the end. This is not the whole part of your story. I like to tell people it is simply just a page, a sentence in a paragraph on a page of the whole book of your life
Oh,
is
I
what you're
love
going
that.
through. If you're
I
still here, you still have pages to be written. So live them to the best of your ability within your limitations, not despite them. Because despite it, you're doing it in your own strength. Within it, you're doing it with God's guidance and strength. So that you know, hey, I'm doing the best that I can with what I have available versus I can't do anything because I don't have that available. It's a
mm,
whole different mindset shift and reprogramming you basically have to do to yourself to really resonate in the abundance that God truly has for you.
beautiful, beautiful, Imani. So much wisdom there. I love it. I love it. And I salute you for coming with so much wisdom. So much wisdom. It's beautiful, so inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What I heard was a woman here talking about love, talking about acknowledgement, talking about what this body has is not me. I'm not defined by anything. I'm an instrument of the divine, and altogether we can go through anything. And let's focus on what we have. But that's general for everything. I mean, imagine a cow saying, "I cannot peel a banana. Poor me. I'm just looking at the bananas." You see,
Yeah. Yeah.
I I used to go and feed some horses, right? I love that. So we give them carrots and apples. And when the apple falls, they don't grab it with their hands because they don't have hands, they have hooves. And they're eating like this with their mouths only. No forks, no knives, no hands, just hooves and their mouths. I never saw a horse complaining, oh, the apple has fallen and now it's dirty when I eat it. But that applies to us as well. Maybe somebody doesn't have an arm, and maybe somebody is not good at swimming, maybe somebody is whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We can't do everything, but there are so many things we can do. So many things what we have, like those horses, they are alive even though they can't type.
Exactly. It's just like, we forget how we believe in the wind, but we can't see it. But we know it's there.
Yeah,
So it's like, okay, so how can you not believe that you're meant for greater? You may not be able to
exactly,
see it, quote unquote, but it's there. We don't
exactly.
question that the leaves and the tree is blowing and be like, oh, I wonder what that is. We know it's the wind. So it's definitely about making things relatable to your life and
Yeah,
knowing that you are in the season you're meant to at the right time, at the right place, and at the right pace for you. Not the person on the left, not the person on the right, not the grass in the neighbor's yard across the street. No, just for you. And it's being comfortable with that and being content and being in the present moment, even though you're still expecting for the greater to come in the future, but you're enjoying the right now. So often we're not enjoying the right now because we're doing the woulda, coulda, shoulda, why not? They got it better than I do. Why don't I have that over there? Why isn't this not coming fast enough? But we're not thankful for the small things of right now. It's you're still here. You're still standing. We already have the victory, but we have to believe it. And I like to say all the time, think about this. Every battle you have faced in your life, you have won 100% of them. How is that? You're still here. You're still breathing. You're still standing. You're still given another opportunity to bring to life what God has placed in you. So you ain't lost
amen,
anything. So why
amen.
why are we beating up on ourselves because we lost one battle? but we didn't lose the war. Okay, that was just one situation. You're still here. There's still more to be won. Don't get stuck on that one thing, because that is what keeps you frustrated, anxious, fearful, all of those things that you know is really not you and it's not of God. So it's a constant work. It is not easy. That's why I keep saying it is a constant work, and it is an all day work. You're not going to wake up every single time like, woo, yes, let's do this today. You might have a moment where you had to be like, Father Jesus. Nevertheless, I'm not feeling it today, but nevertheless, I still count it all joy. Nevertheless, I'm still seeing another day. Nevertheless, I'm still breathing because there were so many people that didn't make it into the new day. So it's being thankful and grateful for the little things that we have is what keeps us going.
I love you.
I love you too.
Where can people contact you, Imani?
Well, they definitely can contact me on Instagram, and my handle is at Audacious Imani, and that's AUDACIOUSIMANI. And you can find me there. I hang out there the most. And that's how you can also contact me with email. That is like the main hub of where I hang out at. And I would love to connect with you. I would love to walk with you on your journey because I see you virtually right now. I see you. I love you and I affirm you in that you do not have to go through this alone. There are people out here to see you through to your breakthrough. And I would love to be one of those people.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.